Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Reborn as a Snake, Turning into a Dragon. Chapter 131. The Top of Tianxing Mountain. Little Rabbit King pursed his mouth. The two dragons are dueling, it sounds nice. In fact, there is nothing to see at all. The situation is completely one-sided. The evil dragon transformed by ghost energy is not only scary in appearance, but also screaming and screaming. It seems that nothing can be done. What's more, it is only a matter of time before he continues to withstand the attacks of Yinglong's great supernatural power and disappears in ashes. Small fights are useless after all. Let's go, save some for the ghost clan. The little Rabbit King looked at Li Chong with a smile. The ghosts in the world are disappearing at a rapid rate, and there is no trace of distress on Li Chong's face, even though the little Rabbit King gave him a step. He also shook his head calmly, and said calmly, even if everyone is dead, so what? The most indispensable thing in this world is ghosts. There are ghosts, there are ghosts, there is no end to the cycle of cause and effect. If you want the world to be free of ghosts, only possible if human beings are extinct. After finishing speaking, Li Chong couldn't help frowning again, because Yinglong's strength was really a bit tricky. There is no flaw at all. In order to repay the love you took in at the beginning, I will act first. If it really doesn't work, I can only trouble you to act. Li Chong added another sentence. If they had not reached a desperate situation, the demon and the ghost would not have shot at the same time. Even in the face of the five-clawed dragon, they have their own arrogance. The little Rabbit King laughed, and the other party said it was not flattering to return favors. They are all thousand-year-old foxes, and the little juju in their hearts, who doesn't know? Just trying to dominate. If he could defeat Yinglong by relying on his own strength, that would be a great feat of a celebrity. Even if one day falls from this world, it is enough to be remembered by the world. Please. Lin Mu was happily killing monsters, and he hit Nilong with various attacks. Every time you clear thousands of ghosts from the world, you get thousands of meritorious scales to protect your body. This merit made him easy and happy. His dragon-like body was continuously covered by large scales of meritorious deeds. He couldn't bear to kill the evil dragon in front of him. You must know that Lin Mu Yinglong's body is inherently invincible, and the scales have evolved from a real dragon. Every piece is completely natural, thus covering the merits again. It's like layers of fortresses. I don't know how much stronger than those physical sanctifications. It is said that Buddhism also has a kind of body dzogchen. It is about the realm of King Kong's immortality and immortality. But in front of Yinglong's scales of meritorious deeds, he is still a younger brother. Lin Mu has earned merits from the early stage to the present. Lin Mu's entire dragon head has been completely covered by merit. Really achieved immortality. The next step is to spread from the neck down. The evil dragon Lin Mu in front of him was not willing to destroy it at all. Every attack is the arrival of massive merit. Give him a feeling of playing legends and fighting bosses in his previous life, as if a screen full of gold coins burst out. That feeling is simply not too cool. Suddenly, Lin Mu narrowed his eyes, and saw a figure with a strong aura on the top of the pterosaur's head. He is a calm man with a fairy spirit lingering all over his body. All of a sudden, the sky and the earth changed color, and the wind was surging. And Nilong suddenly became the opponent's mount. It seems that with the support of its master, this evil dragon is like a god, roaring and roaring, shaking the sun and the moon, and suppressing the clouds. The murderer finally appeared. Lin Mu sneered coldly, and the invincible power of the heavenly dragon enveloped him in an instant. Like mountains of 10,000 zhong, they smashed down fiercely. The calm man's face changed slightly. Immediately, the immortal energy in his body turned into a light curtain, completely defending himself. Resist the power of the brilliant dragon. Immediately, he even bowed slightly towards Yinglong, saluting first and then saying, Yin Xianggu Li Chong, I have met Lord Yinglong. Are you that ghost fairy? Lin Mu looked sideways indifferently. In front of the overlord of the dragon, how dare I call a fairy? HMPH, count yourself acquainted. Then you showed up this time, did you come to beg for mercy? Li Chong shook his head. I have a suggestion. Since they are all the creatures of Tianxing Mountain, they should live in peace and should not go to war, otherwise they will be seen as a joke by the human court. My lord will say yes. This fight was initiated by me. I haven't established my dragon palace yet. You monsters and sprites are jumping out like grasshoppers. Are you tired of work? Lin Mu's pair of candle-like dragon eyes are flickering with cold light, and his power is overwhelming. The majesty of the dragon is rolling like a tide, turning the world upside down. Li Chong's immortal energy protects his body, and he can't help but break out in cold sweat. It's hard to parry. I was horrified in my heart. This Yinglong felt more and more terrifying. It is really difficult to guess and predict without being personally on the scene. And the words are also aggressive, totally disrespectful. In Yinglong's eyes, ghosts are all ghosts and ghosts. And it looks like a ghost, but it turned into a grasshopper. Judging from his tone, he is still a grasshopper after autumn and will not live long. Yinglong, you think too highly of yourself. Even the overlord of the dragon should not be so arrogant. Li Chong's face became gloomy, and he didn't want to say any more polite words, so he went straight to the topic. My humble opinion, standing on 3 legs, I don't know what you think. Since it's a foolish opinion, why tell people to laugh at it? Lin Mu refused with contempt in his eyes. Standing on 3 legs. Divide Tianxing Mountain into 3 cakes, right? But what he sees is no longer a Tianxing Mountain, but above the 9 heavens. But such a refusal, in Li Chong's eyes, is Yinglong's insistence on being the lord of mountain walking that day. To trample all the demons and ghosts in the world under their feet. Then there is nothing to say. It wasn't expecting much either. Since this is the case, I can only learn the methods of Yinglong. Li Chong said indifferently, and roared like an evil dragon under him. The wind is surging, and the world is in turmoil. Noisy. Lin Mu got annoyed. The dragon's eyes flashed a strong cold light, and suddenly flashed out, looking directly at the roaring evil dragon. As if being hit by an impact, the evil dragon's winding body was cracked in a large area, and the strong ghost energy contained in it was washed out as if discouraged. Blow me up. As soon as these words came out, Li Chong seemed to feel something, his complexion changed drastically, and he flew into the sky, heading straight into the sky. Boom. Immediately, the evil dragon exploded vigorously, turning into a huge and thick mushroom cloud. At the same time, in the territory of the Ming dynasty, countless ghosts were ashamed. Before the scream came out, it disappeared directly. In just an instant, millions of surrounding objects disappeared from the world instantly. With the explosion of the evil dragon, massive merits and virtues fell from the sky. The dragon body of a large area of armed forest shone with holy light. Even if you are thousands of miles away, you can feel the sacredness of the 5-clawed dragon. He stood across the sky, as if the world had been reduced to a supporting role in front of him, eclipsed. The totem of the flood is the dragon, and the fire is the phoenix. The ancient gods and beasts are inherently invincible. Once the Nilong died, the ghost clan in the territory of the Ming dynasty could not recover their vitality after 100 years. Ghost immortal Li Chong hangs in the sky with an indescribably horrified expression. Yinglong's terrifying gaze completely destroyed the evil dragon that all the ghosts gathered in the world. This kind of power, how can it not make people panic? No matter how much the world overestimates the overlord of the dragon, it is actually an underestimate. The opponent seems to be getting stronger every minute. Get stronger under the skin of your eyes. The state of mind can't be chaotic, and you can't raise others' aspirations and destroy your own prestige. Li Chong quickly adjusted his mentality and made a master move. Self-confidence is more important than anything else. A firm psychological quality can often have unfavorable effects. The evil dragon is just a small trick it uses. The real gunpowder is only now beginning. Yinglong, it's still unknown who will win the deer. I'm going to transform from a ghost into a fairy, and the bandits will do nothing. Li Chong made a rolling and high-pitched voice. His fighting spirit rose instantly, in front of the world. The arena with Yinglong was taken over by Weixian. At this moment, Li Chong's entire body had bright, clean and bright immortal energy gushing out. Supporting his whole body is like a banished immortal. The momentum has become extremely astonishing. In order to be able to fight with Yinglong without hindrance, Li Chong's body has grown rapidly visible to the naked eye. Although it is not the kind of great supernatural power that follows the sky and the earth, it has changed into a way of nearly 1,000 feet. Weiyan's body is full of destructive power. The robe on his body rattled, as if it could suck the entire Tianxing mountain into the cuffs. This chief inspector who once served as the immortal division can be said to be a rare cultivation genius in the Ming dynasty. Even the city god was amazed at the other party's cultivation aptitude. However, his intentions were not correct and he took a detour. Lin Mu's candle-like golden dragon pupils stared at Guixian indifferently, no matter what kind of momentum the other party made. What kind of changes he has, in his opinion, is futile. Devouring Yuanshan of King Yuanshi enhanced Lin Mu's Taoism by nearly 100,000. Destroy the evil dragon, protect the body with massive merit. It made his dragon reach the point where no one has no immortals and no gods. The so-called King's Landing is nothing more than that. The gigantic Li Chong has adjusted his state to the best peak. It feels great now, with an almost invincible posture. However, Li Chong looked at Ying Long, caught Ying Long's contemptuous eyes, and was immediately deeply humiliated. It seems to watch it, just follow a clown. Let you put on a show. Hateful, I want to kill the dragon. Li Chong made a roar of rolling sound waves, and the sound echoed in all directions. The people of the world were not without emotion when they heard the sound. Face the mighty dragon overlord. How much courage is needed to shout out the word, killing the dragon. Ghost immortal Li Chong, no matter what happens afterwards, just yelling these 4 words is enough to be remembered by the world. Ordinary mortals began to curse, and as the most loyal believer of Lord Yinglong Tianju, Dolong was a crime of disrespect. There should be no place to die. But for those with a discerning eye, Li Chong, the ghost fairy who created the strongest ghost cultivator force, single-handedly. It is definitely not as simple as just shouting slogans. It is powerful. Buzz buzz. As Li Chong yelled to kill the dragon, the drama started. A billowing black mist emerged from nothingness, rendering the entire world as if it were the end of the world. I saw a huge abyssal black hole emanating above Li Chong's head. In the black hole is a terrifying black shadow thousands of feet high, carrying a terrifying coercion. Stepped out of nothingness and stood behind Li Chong. This black shadow is very strange, it only has 1 arm, but it is powerful and suffocating, as if it itself represents death. Just looking at it is like dying thousands of times at once. This is. The ghosts and gods of Gongxianxi were so shocked that they didn't have the courage to speak out. In the end, someone suppressed the fear in his heart and said, "My God, it's the one-armed Pluto, one of the 5 ghost emperors in the 9 nether hells. Pluto, the nightmare of all creatures in the world, the master of death, and one of the most powerful gods in hell since ancient times." Who would have thought that Li Chong, the ghost immortal, could summon the phantom of Hades? The supreme coercion of the gods made all the ghosts and gods in Gongxianxi terrified, kneeling down in fear and fear. No way, this is coercion from the superior. Seeing Pluto's phantom, ghosts and gods felt an urge to worship in the depths of their souls. There is no way to restrain it. Even the city god in the imperial palace couldn't help wanting to bow down when he saw the phantom of Pluto. Fortunately, it was just a phantom, and he, a first-rank justice god, could barely resist it. Not to lose face. But city god's heart is already turbulent. He never imagined that Li Chong, a traitor to the immortal division, could summon the one-armed Pluto. No wonder he dared to clamor for Yinglong. The other party has this qualification. It is really possible to kill the dragon. At this moment, except for the first-rank justice god in front of him, because of the territory of the Ming dynasty. All the ghosts and gods have already bowed down. Those villages in the suburbs where Yinshan was stationed had already prostrated themselves on the ground, trembling with fear. Muttering in his mouth, "Long live Pluto, long live Pluto." It seems that only in this way can offset the terrifying sense of death oppression. "Yinglong, do you dare to be worshipped by me?" From the sky of Tianxing Mountain, Li Lei's words spread mightily. The words are astonishing. "Dare to accept my worship?" Ha ha, why wouldn't Benlong dare? Lin Mu had never heard such a stupid request in 8 lifetimes. Li Chong's expression suddenly became pious and cold, and he suddenly knelt down on one knee towards Yinglong who was in the sky. During this kneeling time, the sky was dim and the earth was dark, and the sun and the moon were dark. What was even more frightening was that following Li Chong's kneeling, the terrifying one-armed Pluto behind him also knelt down with Chao Yinglong. Pluto kneels, reverses yin and yang, and distorts the universe. As the most powerful god in hell and the master of death, Pluto has never been able to accept other people's kneeling and saluting. Where will others bow down? To accept Pluto's kneeling ceremony, one must have the fate of the heavens, the blessings of the earth, and the blessings are extremely profound. Otherwise, if you can't bear it, your soul will fly away immediately. Kneel down quickly, all kneel down, and accept the bowing ceremony of Hades, you will die. All the people of the world with cultivation base, seeing this scene, were terrified out of their wits. Originally, when the phantom of Pluto appeared, only ghosts and gods would be affected. Practitioners with sufficient yang energy can be celibate. But now, Pluto knelt down, it was a different matter. Even if you are not praying towards you, but if you are facing the direction of Pluto, you will suffer invisibly. It will also affect the fish in the pond. In the forbidden city of the imperial palace, it was as if the fate of the Ming dynasty had awakened, and automation became the essence, forming a glass-colored light curtain. Protect the inner palace, not affected by Pluto's kneeling ceremony. What a one-armed Pluto, just a phantom, can actually trigger my great Ming dynasty's luck protector, don't I have the qualifications? A cold light flashed in Ming Xuanwang's eyes. As the 9th five-year lord, he was the emperor of the Ming dynasty. The emperor in the Yang world is not lucky enough to accept the gift of kneeling and worshipping from a phantom. Because it can make the palace luck protect the lord. Explain that something is threatening his life. This made Ming Xuanwang very angry. You must know that he is just a bystander. His self-esteem was instantly hit by 10,000 points. It's no good for me to watch from the sidelines, so isn't Yinglong a righteous man? Ming Xuanwang couldn't help worrying. The crown prince's words were correct, even though Yinglong didn't accept his canonization. But in his bones, he was also a divine beast of the Ming dynasty. A mythical beast like the overlord of the dragon has been singing like this since the founding of the Ming dynasty. Cannot fall. ... Countless screams resounded from the sky and the earth, and those practitioners who did not have time to kneel down were seriously injured one by one. It flew out like a kite with a broken string, and the bones of the whole body were broken. The luck of the whole person is greatly affected. In the future, practice will be completely cut off, and this life will be full of disasters. There is no blessing, only disaster. On the contrary, ordinary people were not affected. Kowtow of hell Pluto. In the sky, Guixian Li Chong shouted loudly. The one-armed Pluto gave a loud bang, knelt down completely, and bowed to Yinglong. Following the prostration, the endless pressure of death brought with it the billowing black mist of hell. Overwhelmingly shrouded towards Yinglong. This moment, there was a rumbling explosion in the whole sky, and the sky collapsed. The coercion of the god of death is like walking on thin ice, and can instantly deprive a living being of their luck and life. Hey, no matter who kneels, this dragon can bear it, just worship. An unrivaled dragon chant soared into the sky. I saw Yinglong's gazing posture fully displayed, facing the one-armed Pluto's kneeling ceremony. There is no retreat at all. The entire body of the dragon exudes the power of a heavenly dragon that dominates the world and looks down on everything. His eyes reveal the kingly aspect of the overlord of dragons. These 9 days and 10 days, these 4 seas and 8 wildernesses, this sky and earth. It doesn't matter how holy you are, if you dare to worship, labor and capital will accept it. And deservedly so. Boom. There were endless roars between the heaven and the earth, and the pressure of death was like the collapse of the blue sky. Terrible. Corrode everything, obliterate everything. However, even if it is so terrifying, you can wait until the end of the Pluto's prostration ceremony. Yinglong is still Yinglong. He is still the overlord of the dragon that the world admires and worships supremely. His whole body is as vigorous as the sea, his scales are indestructible, and his merits shine with holy light. Accepting the kneeling ceremony of the one-armed Pluto head-on, he did not suffer any damage. Oh my God, you are worthy of Master Yinglong Tianju, who is so honorable and infinite, who can completely accept the worship of the one-armed Pluto. The practitioners looked up to the sky, all dumbfounded in amazement. You must know that they, bystanders, were all brought into trouble by the fish in the pond. For those who are light, their blessings are cut off, and for those who are serious, their lifespan is shortened. And Yinglong, who accepted Pluto's kneeling and worshipping head-on, was actually harmless. On the other hand, Heng Kong's dragon overlord has a perfect body and lines, and is noble. It is completely natural, and I write cooking points without a single flaw. The whole body is flawless, and every scale exudes the power of ruling the world. All creatures in the world are divided into 3, 6, or 9 classes. It is obvious that Yinglong has strong strength, high pedigree, and rich blessings, so he is not afraid of the one-armed Pluto at all. Only in this way can he accept Pluto's kneeling gift with full confidence. Is it because the legendary 5-clawed Yinglong is too strong, or is this Yinglong in front of him so extraordinary and unimaginable? Li Chong in the sky was taken aback, his eyes widened. The one-armed Pluto is the master of death. Even if it's just a phantom, it's not the deity's presence. But the coercion is so strong that it is enough to destroy the world. Yinglong could bear it easily. It's incredible. I actually worshipped, so let's kneel 3 times and kowtow 9 times, Ben Longrong's 4+ starts. Yinglong opened his mouth and chanted, possessing the aura of heavenly power, dragon power and merit as one. It was like swallowing mountains and rivers with anger, and everything was destroyed. Li Chong's face gradually turned ferocious. Oh! Make a loud noise. That will be as the dragon wishes. Hell Hades 2 kowtows. Boom boom boom. The sky turned upside down. With the beginning of the second prostration of Pluto, all over the world, those who are not well cultivated, those who have poor life and poor fortune, dare to stand openly. Will all die. The power of this kowtow is several times, even dozens of times that of the first prostration. Invisibly, like the hand of the god of death, he shook it towards you. I saw the incomparable wings on Yinglong's back spread out, covering the sky and the sun in an instant. Immediately, there were endless exposures in the sky, with baosha, auspicious clouds, and auspicious air running through the east, west, north, south, and wild flowers. It formed a blatant confrontation with the death breath of Pluto. It's like a contest between good and evil, a confrontation between good and evil. You must know that Yinglong can be regarded as the most honorable and powerful auspicious beast in the Ming dynasty. A body of merit and virtue protects the body, immortal. Pluto wants to deprive Yinglong of his blessings and lifespan, but it may be difficult for mere phantoms to do so. Inside the palace, Ming Xuanwang, who was sitting on the bench watching the battle, saw that Yinglong was accepting the second kowtow from Pluto, and the sky was full of auspiciousness. Can't help but sigh. I have opened my eyes today, Yinglong. I am honored to have you in the Ming dynasty. Wei Yan and City God were greatly shocked when they heard the words. The emperor's words carry a lot of weight. It can be said that the Ming dynasty and Yinglong were completely bound together. In no gully, the breath of life is very mysterious, just like Shangru Xinsheng. Yinglong didn't seem to take the imperial court seriously, saying that well water does not violate river water. But you have to admit that this is an extremely powerful auspicious beast. At this time, Tianxing Mountain is filled with rays of light and auspicious clouds. An auspicious aura gushes out to fight against the death aura of the one-armed Pluto. Since he is an auspicious beast, why should you worry about him? Emperor Zan of the Ming dynasty said that if he was proud of him, he would be both prosperous and prosperous with Yinglong from now on, and he would be honorable if he lost. Once this majestic, wise and mighty emperor figured it out, he would wish to make obeisance to Yinglong. Under the emperor's land, I will take care of it. Above the emperor's sky, you are the only one. Isn't it a win-win situation? I really want to compete with Yinglong for status. I just can't think about it. He can even accept the kneeling ceremony of the one-armed Pluto of hell. What a mere mortal emperor. Xiao Qish, who had been stripped of his right to protect the spirit guard, stared blankly at the location of Tianxing Mountain. Suddenly, he understood why his father, Emperor Longyan, was displeased when he said a painting about attacking Yinglong. Not only took away the guardian spirit guard, but also cut off his right to win the air. Completely ruined his way to heaven. Indeed, his perception of dragons is too perfunctory. Yinglong's strength has reached the point where ordinary people can't match and understand. He obviously set up a guardian spirit guard to subdue the world's creatures, but he is not as knowledgeable as the crown prince who lives in the eastern palace. The prince said that Long was born in Daming and grew up in Daming, and the road was opened. With such foresight, he lost completely. However, the ambitious Xiao Qish, who bears the fate of Qianlong, vowed to become a great treasure since he was a child. He is really not reconciled. But if he offends Yinglong and loses his sacred heart, he may be thinking of ascending to the sky, so he has to find another way. Now everyone is focusing on the direction of Yinglong in Tianxing Mountain. Xiao Qish left a venomous look, and quietly exited. But he won't just throw in the towel. The screen changed. The second kowtow ceremony of the one-armed Pluto Li Nuohao ended with great vigor. Yinglong is still Yinglong, and Huangyi is still in the sky. No one can shake it. Accepting the two death prostrations of the one-armed Pluto one after another, Yinglong's strength was displayed in front of the world again. Shocking and nothing to add. Li Chong in the sky began to cough up blood continuously. It has already begun to be backlashed. Summoning the one-armed Pluto of hell is not an easy task. What's more, to make Pluto kowtow is a perverse and outrageous act. If it is the person who is worshipped, it is okay to die. But once the other party bears it, he will suffer a terrible backlash. This is also karma. It is a way of injuring 1,000 enemies and 800 self-inflicted injuries. Yinglong, I don't believe it, I won't kneel down to kill you. Li Chong had no way out, his heart was hardened, he really did not put all his eggs in one basket. Hell Pluto 3 kowtows, village. With a loud shout, Ji Yutong led the ferocious district doctor. This is his limit. If you can't kneel down and die Yinglong, then it's him, the ghost fairy, who will die. With the beginning of the third prostration, a billowing air of death spread in the sky. Horror, darkness, and a strong breath of death rendered the entire sky like a kingdom of death. No, I can't watch this worship, whoever watches will die. The knowledgeable practitioner immediately knelt on the ground like a frightened bird, and buried his head deeply in his body. Some even dug a hole and buried their heads in it. Sincerely and fearfully. This is Pluto's third kneeling ceremony, you don't even have the qualifications to kneel and watch. Anyone who is affected to a certain extent will undoubtedly die. The monsters in the Tianxing Mountains died in ignorance. In that direction, the kingdom of death appears, if you look at it, you will die immediately. There is no reason at all. Don't say that your fortune is poor and your fate is poor, even if your fortune is profound. Even if it is a good man of the 9th generation, it is not easy to use. Unless you are a born child of luck. But even if you are the child of luck, you can watch the battle with confidence. I'm afraid that after you finish reading, your luck will disappear with it. A rank 1 ghost immortal, at the cost of his own life, performed the Hades 3 kowtows. One can imagine how terrifying it is. Boom. The entire sky showed excessive death, and the sound of waves from the abyss of hell began to be heard again. Worrying all day long, seeing that the phantom of the Pluto behind Li Chong became more and more terrifying, it actually moved. But it's not bowing down, but stepping out from the sky. With this step, it immediately exudes an aura of death that exterminates everything, dominates everything, and controls everything. This is the Lord of all things, the God of death. This third kneeling was a real kneeling. The one-armed Pluto walked towards Yinglong, who was in the sky step by step. Every step closer is filled with the oppressive feeling of death. Every step he took, the heaven and the earth trembled. Now in the entire Ming dynasty, the only one who can watch the channel of Tianxing Mountain is the imperial palace, who is shrouded in luck. No, Yinglong's life is in danger. The city god in the imperial palace screamed in disgrace. As the first-rank righteous god of justice in the Yin division, he knows very well what the one-armed Pluto represents. The master of death is not just talking about it casually. The third ceremony of kowtowing is to walk in front of the Lord and worship grandly. Even the overlord of the dragon may not be lucky enough to enjoy such a great gift. The danger in it is beyond words. Yinglong must not fall like this. Ming Xuanwang had completely accepted Yinglong in his heart. The words of honor with it have just been said. Wei Yan's pupils contracted, and he said with a serious expression, actually, as long as Yinglong doesn't openly accept Pluto's third kneeling and retreats from the edge, his life will not be endangered. It's just that we, the BCEH Master of the Dragon, have always been very proud. I'm afraid I won't show weakness. Dragons have their own dignity. If Yinglong retreats at this time, it will be tantamount to admitting defeat. The invincible image established in front of the world before has also been greatly weakened. But this is innocuous. The deadliest thing is that if Yinglong is intimidated, he will leave a terrifying demon in his heart. The invincible state of mind is gone. In the future, how will you look down on the world and cross the 4 seas? Many peerless masters are invincible for a lifetime, but if they lose a game, they will sacrifice their lives. Even if they survive, they will be willing to degenerate for the rest of their lives. Nothing more to do. Ming Xuanwang also understood this truth, and became anxious. Wei Cheng, city god, if Yinglong can't hold Pluto's third kneeling, can you help me? The two of them immediately shook their heads with wry smiles. City god said, Your Majesty, this kind of non-frontal battle, the two of us cannot help each other. If they go, it is tantamount to accepting the dance gift from Pluto. In the past, it was to give away people's heads. You need to be strong to strike iron. It seems that I can only bet that Yinglong is strong enough. But the city god said that Yinglong's life was in danger, and the concept of fear of falling was even more reasoned. Your Majesty, although the two of us cannot help Yinglong, you can. Ming Xuanwang's eyes were deeply fixed on Chengwang. Your Majesty, you are the son of heaven of the Ming dynasty, and you bear the luck of the Ming dynasty. If Yinglong can't bear the bow of the Hades, then with the blessing of the luck of the Ming dynasty, you will be able to save yourself from danger, but... City god did not fully say what was said later. But not to mention, Ming Xuanwang also understood. It is a big gamble to use the fortune of the Ming dynasty to bless Yinglong. If the bet is not good, the luck of the Ming dynasty will decline and the country will be in danger of subjugation. Fortunately, there was no court official at the scene. Otherwise, if the city god said just now, even if he was not killed by Shen, he would be drowned by the spit star in an instant. Shake the country. How could the luck of the Ming dynasty be digested indiscriminately? Ming Xuanwang was silent for a while, and finally looked towards Xiao Jingshou, and asked lightly, Prince, if you were me, what should you do? Xiao Jingshou stood up in a daze. This question is very fatal, and the crown prince is also smart, so he said on the contrary, I dare not speak nonsense, but my father, Yinglong, has always had a grudge against the Ming dynasty. If my Ming dynasty if you can save Yinglong's life, then Yinglong will definitely be grateful to my Ming dynasty. Furthermore, before Yinglong defeated the evil dragon, 9 out of 10 ghosts in the world died out, and they could not recover their vitality for 100 years. The merit lies in the community. If we do not save the world's people. Although the prince's words were not clearly stated, the meaning was already very clear. Ming Xuanwang nodded, having an idea in his mind. I will exchange Daming's luck for the 5-clawed Yinglong to protect my Daming in the future. This is a good deal. Your Majesty is wise. Over there in Tianxing Mountain. The terrifying phantom of Pluto finally walked up to Yinglong who was in the sky. In terms of body shape, they are all thousands of feet tall, majestic, and they are not comparable. In terms of momentum, Yinglong, who is peerless and majestic, is faintly at a disadvantage. Because at this time, Pluto is like the deity descending. The power is so strong that the world trembles. Boom! Pluto knelt down vigorously towards Yinglong. With this kneeling, the sky and the earth roared, and Fang Yuan's space was directly distorted. Pluto's third kneeling can be described as forcing the palace. Yinglong was forced to die. Everyone in the world was worried. Pluto's kneeling was too terrifying, and he was already so terrifying before bowing down. Has the ambition to tear the world apart. On the top of Tianxing Mountain, Redao smiled at the figure under the red radish. Seems to feel like a winner. Roar! A domineering dragon chant soared into the sky. I saw Yinglong's flawless dragon body erupting with a dazzling light like the sun. This ray of light is boundless, and immediately exudes a majestic, sacred, coercive, domineering, benevolent, noble, wise, and just atmosphere. Immediately afterwards, thousands of troops and horses galloped forward, dominating the world and swelling up. With a body of several thousand feet, the speed visible to the naked eye has been increasing steadily. A huge leap. This is the law of the 36 celestial gangs, the law of the heavens, the phenomena of the earth, the great supernatural powers. Once it is used, it will reach the sky above its head and its feet will stand on the ground, no one can match it. Innately invincible. Between the fibrous roots, the heaven and the earth are filled with the majesty of the celestial dragon, which scorches the sky and the earth, and is lawless. Unbelievably suppress the breath of death of the one-armed Pluto. This scene, unprecedented, boasted nothing like reality. The trapped dragon can bear it. An extremely arrogant and cold voice came from 9 heavens. Exclamation mark. The ghost fairy Li Chong who cast the spell in the sky spurted out a mouthful of blood. The whole person was on the verge of falling, and the breath all over his body became dimmed sharply. As Li Chong vomited blood, the terrifying phantom of Pluto began to fade, looming. Shows signs of cracking. Ha ha ha. Ying Long, you are awesome, I'm taking it now. Li Chong smiled miserably, his expression became crazy. It loses. Lost completely. Summoning the one-armed Pluto would not be able to deal with the dragon in front of him. God wants it to die, it has to die. Inside the palace, Ming Xuanwang was once again in a state of shock. Yinglong used the supernatural powers of heaven, earth and earth to suppress the one-armed Pluto in one fell swoop. Ghost immortal Li Chong is suffering backlash, and his defeat is certain. This made the emperor's heart suddenly empty. Finally decided to use damning luck to rescue Yinglong once. In the end, it's all their alarmist talk and wishful thinking in the end. Yinglong didn't give Ming Dynasty a chance to show off at all. The already invincible posture turned the world around. Right now, in the direction of Tianqing Mountain, the one-armed Pluto Shu, exuding a terrifying breath of death, is gradually disintegrating. Finally completely dissipated and invisible. Looking back suddenly, it seems like it never appeared. Ming Xuanwang looked at the city god resentfully, as if to say, is Yinglong's life in danger? The one-armed Pluto knelt and bowed vigorously, kneeling so shockingly that weeping ghosts and gods. But in the end, there was no threat to the dragon at all. Kiki city god's expression became awkward. That damned dragon always likes to hit people unexpectedly in the face. Once the third kneeling of the one-armed Pluto unfolded, it was so terrifying that it made people panic. Who knew that in the end it was easily resolved by Yinglong? After a long time, the clown turned out to be him, a first-class justice god. Congratulations, Your Majesty, for keeping my luck towards damning. City god brazenly bowed his hands. Alleviate the awkward atmosphere. Hee. Emperor Mingxuan smiled but didn't smile. He should be happy that Yinglong survived, because Ming's luck was not consumed. But he just couldn't be happy. On the contrary, after the Lord Chengwang alleviated the embarrassment, his mood became more and more beautiful. Judging from the situation in Tianqing Mountain, the death of Guixianhe is approaching. Before the death of the evil dragon, millions of ghosts in the territory of the Ming Dynasty disappeared instantly. Now if the ghost immortal dies, then the demons and ghosts have caused chaos since the founding of the Ming Dynasty, and only demons are left. It can be described as a sign of prosperity. Thinking of this, city god gave Wei Yan a pleased look. It has to be said that this old bastard who is not the son of man has a good brain. Sending a dragon palace, the Song Ghost clan will be wiped out. He wins perfectly. The corner of Wei Yan's mouth twitched, and his heart began to feel bad again. But there seemed to be some great expectation in his eyes. Once Ghost Immortal Li Chong is defeated, then the biggest boss in the demon spirit realm and even Tianqing Mountain, the Little Rabbit King, will appear next. Yinglong, come on, your task has not been completed yet, Oli, keep working hard. Wei Yan silently encouraged Yinglong in his heart. The chief lord who is in charge of the demon-slaying division also wants to lie down and win. If it weren't for his high position and status, Wei Yan would like to learn from ordinary people and burn 3 sticks of incense to pray for blessings. Li Chong, who suffered backlash, coughed up blood, all the immortal energy around him disappeared, and his breath was also very disordered and listless. Gradually descend from the highlight stage of the sky. Li Chong's state at this time was no longer worthy of such a high profile. He wanted to run away, but he didn't dare to act rashly. Suddenly, an orthodox and unrivaled coercion of a heavenly dragon fell on Li Chong's fragile body. There was a cold voice in my ears. Want to die or live? What for? Want to live. Could it be possible that Yinglong would let himself go? Could it be that the overlord of the dragon knew that he was no longer a threat to him? Too lazy to add insult to injury. Recognize this dragon as the master, and save your dying life. What? Li Chong's face turned ferocious, and he roared ferociously, Yinglong, how dare you insult me like this? It is a first-class ghost fairy, leading the ghost clan in Tianqing Mountain. He almost became the righteous god of justice for Shanxi. The amazing figure of Tianzhao in the Ming Dynasty for hundreds of years. Even though he is defeated now, his anger is still there. Besides, Scholars can be killed but not humiliated. However, the cold voice, released with boundless coercion, pronounced Li Chong's fate. Exorcise the gods and surrender to the Lord. Li Chong was immediately enveloped by a mysterious taboo force, like a black hole in the abyss, eroding him. And the end of being completely eroded is to become a puppet, a walking dead. Follow the other party's lead. No, Li Chong was completely panicked. It didn't expect Yinglong to be so domineering. He didn't want to kill himself, but wanted to accept himself, a first-rank immortal, as his servant. It might as well kill it. Little Rabbit King, save me quickly. Li Chong was backlashed, seriously injured, and broke free from the fifth mysterious taboo. I can only call for help like a frightened bird. Right now, only one person can be saved. It looked longingly at the top of Tianxing Mountain. What made Li Chong desperate was that it didn't find the figure gnawing on the carrot. Could it be that? The other party was scared when they saw Yinglong was so powerful. Little Rabbit King, do you want to betray this immortal? Do you want to surrender at Yinglong's feet? Li Chong roared desperately, and his voice spread throughout Tianxing Mountain. But no matter how hysterical it is, the Little Rabbit King seems to have disappeared. Not manifested at all, let alone save it. It's over, it's over. Li Chong's eyes gradually blurred, its soul is being devoured. To be completely reduced to the slaves of others. 10 minutes later, there was a picture that shocked the world. Li Chong, the ghost fairy who once served as the chief inspector of the Immortal Division, and later founded the Yingxian Valley in Tianxing Mountain. Suspended high in the sky, kneeling respectfully in front of the winding and majestic Yinglong. The eyes are full of the devotion and worship of believers looking to the gods. At this moment, the perception of the world was completely overturned. Yinglong subdued the ghost immortal Li Chong, which means he indirectly controlled the ghost clan. Even if the ghosts of the Ming dynasty revive in the future, I am afraid they can only obey Yinglong's orders. But things aren't quite over yet. When the ghost immortal Li Chong was subdued, a petite figure manifested out of thin air, only 100 feet away. It turned out to be the lord of the demon spirit realm, Little Rabbit King, who Li Chong asked for help but did not appear. With a petite figure and the image of a cute rabbit, in front of Yinglong, he is as insignificant as a humble ant. But the opponent exudes an unusually powerful demonic aura. Standing faintly high in the sky, the surrounding space trembled more and more intensely. The aura is actually not inferior to the overlord of the dragon. The appearance of the Little Rabbit King at this time surprised everyone. When Guixian desperately asked for help but could not come out, waiting for Guixian to become Yinglong's slave. At this time, it appeared. It can be said that it is obvious to sell teammates. But in the next second, Little Rabbit King answered everyone's question in a considerate manner. Rarely, it didn't hold any radish in its hand, but stared greedily at the stalwart Yinglong, and made a crisp sound. Hee, Yinglong, this ghost fairy is a gift from Ben Rabbit. Reciprocity is a gift, why don't you give me a gift too? As he spoke, he licked his lips, full of longing. What do you want? There was a rumbling sound. I want you, Little Rabbit King blurted out without thinking, and was shocked. There was also a roar in the sky. Such an invincible Yinglong could easily accept the one-armed Pluto's prostration ceremony. In one fell swoop, he subdued the ghost fairy Li Chong. This Little Rabbit King dared to provoke the Dragon Overlord so blatantly. Have to say, it's audacious. As the boss of Tianxing Mountain's demon spirit world and the leader of the demon clan, Xiao Wang is already very mysterious. Very few shots. The most impressive thing is that this rabbit broke into the forbidden city of the Imperial Palace on a whim one day. Walked around in it. In the end, all beards and tails came back. For a while, he became an idol worshipped by the monster race. It also became the #1 big demon on the most wanted list of demon slayers. Whether it was the 3 great demon kings in the deep mountains or the 72 cave masters, they all bowed to the Little Rabbit King. I am sincerely convinced. The shadow of a person's famous tree, there is nothing under the famous name. Today, the mysterious Little Rabbit King is going to show his sharpness thoroughly. Okay, Ben Long is here, you come and get it. The sound of dragon chant came indifferently. The Little Rabbit King responded with frivolous eyebrows, okay. Good 2 words, with extreme excitement. Then, at the next moment, the shocking vision of Japanese stocks burst out. The smile on Little Rabbit King's face faded, and the aura on his body became violent. The breathing of the whole person became heavier and heavier, and the skeletal muscles in the body twisted extremely quickly. It was as if a chain in the body had been cut off by it, releasing energy that poured into every inch of the body and made it fleshy and boned. This very moment, roar! A terrifying beast roared from the Little Rabbit King's mouth. Suddenly, the sky was covered with dark clouds, and the thunderlight flickered on and off. Following a thunderstorm, the world was in turmoil. The Little Rabbit King has been upgraded and evolved, and his petite body exudes a terrifying pressure far beyond that before. In the coercive atmosphere, there is a sense of wildness, grandeur, and cold fear. But this is only the beginning. Little Rabbit King's petite body has changed dramatically at a speed visible to the naked eye. Its physical body is rising steadily, and dense golden feathers emerge from the physical body. Very gorgeous and noble. What was even more frightening was that a ferocious bird's head abruptly appeared on the opponent's shoulder. Wrapped in golden plush, it exudes an unusually strong vitality. Although, with the appearance of the first ferocious bird head, one after another, huge heads appeared on its left and right shoulders. Standing swaying, fierce and terrifying, after half an hour. Facing the corresponding dragon was a huge bird and beast monster. The entire head swayed wildly in the air, with a hideous image and a terrifying aura. It is completely unbelievable that the petite and cute Little Rabbit King has changed. The difference between before and after is too great. The most shocking thing is that the aura of the 9-headed monster has completely surpassed that of the previous one-armed Pluto. Even in front of Ying Long, who is like the sky and the earth, he cannot lose the wind. Especially the brutal coercion released by the opponent, the monsters in the Tianxing Mountains who were directly pressed were terrified. There was a painful wail from one head. My God, the Little Rabbit King of the demon spirit world, the real face of Mount Lu is actually a terrifying 9-headed bird and beast. Cultivating 9 heads has reached the pinnacle of perfection, no wonder you dared to challenge Lord Ying Long. The crowd stared at the terrifying monster with horrified gazes, and gasped one after another. There are only 2 cultivation modes for any biological cultivation. The first is to break through one's own blood lineage, evolve into an extraordinary beast, and reach the sky in one step. Like a snake turning into a dragon, a crow turning into a golden crow. Transformed, noble infinite. This kind of practice has a high degree of difficulty. Is it as difficult as climbing to the sky? There are often high requirements for talent and qualifications. You can't even do it in your life. If you do it, you have to face the baptism of the catastrophe. The second type is the common practice of pure bloodlines. Whenever the biological bloodline breaks through, a head will be derived, and perhaps a tail will be derived. For example, snake-like creatures, if they don't follow the Jiaohualong, they will cultivate snake heads one by one. That is the legendary Hydra. There are also the legendary 9-headed lion and 9-headed bird. For example, cats, if they reach a certain level of cultivation, they will develop a tail. The most famous ones are the legendary 9-tailed demon cat and 9-tailed sky fox. Still the same sentence, Junai is extremely numerous in the world, but all monsters who can practice Jushu are very small. They are all terrifying existences who dare to change the color of the world. In fact, to elaborate, there is another cultivation mode, which is color change. Like a weasel practicing cultivation, 100 years is gray, 1,000 years is black, and 10,000 years is white. But Wanyan's cultivation base is just a black hole. At this time, the Little Rabbit King completely exposed his true self, causing the world to be shocked. The VIP guests watching the battle in the palace were also like a bolt from the blue. Especially Wei Yan of the Demon Slayer. As the biggest demon king in Tianxing Mountain, Little Rabbit King has been studied by him for a long time. But Wei Yan never expected that the true deity of Little Rabbit King was actually a 9-headed bird. Wrong. It's not that simple. The Little Rabbit King's appearance this time is probably because he wants to devour Ying Long, so as to be promoted to become the bloodline of the ancient Tiangong fierce beast 9-headed bird. Wei Yan said it in a gloomy tone, his face was very ugly. Swallow Yinglong and promote to the beast 9 phoenixes. Cheng Wang gasped when he heard this, he was really shocked. The most powerful spells in the world are nothing more than the spells of the 36 heavenly gangs and the 72 earth demons. In the ancient times, the cultivation of creatures reached the peak, and the terrifying creatures also included the evil spirits of heaven and earth. 36 celestial gangs, all the gods and fierce beasts in the world, 72 earth demons, all the rare and exotic beasts. Anyone who can be ranked among the Tiangong is the first-class overlord in the world. 18 corresponds to 18. Divine beasts are righteous, and fierce beasts are evil. The five-clawed dragon, the reason why it can be called the overlord of the dragon, is one of the gods and beasts of Tiangong. And the nine-phoenix nine-headed bird is one of the fierce beasts in Tiangong. Wei Qing, I know about the evils of heaven and earth, but I have never heard of this bird with 9 phoenixes and 9 heads. Ming Xuanwang asked with a frown. Wei Yan said quietly. In ancient times, in a vast wilderness, there was a barren mountain where nothing could survive. Talented and brutal at the same time, he is a terrifying hunter. North of the Arctic cabinet is a deep sea, and dragons live in the sea. There is nothing in the mountain, so this bird feeds on dragons, devours a dragon, and generates a head until it cultivates 9 heads. It is extremely powerful. Compared with the phoenix, it is called the 9 phoenixes. This is the origin of the 9-phoenix 9-headed bird. This bird hunted all the dragons in ancient times, and the fierce beast of the Tiangong ranked 9th. Hunt all the dragons. Ming Xuanwang was stunned for a moment, looking at the terrifying 9-headed bird that appeared on Tianxing Mountain. His expression became serious. A murderous intent flashed in Wei Yan's eyes. Master Wei's words are a bit far-fetched. Since the little rabbit king wants to devour the dragon and evolve into a 9-phoenix fierce beast, why didn't he make a move before Tianzhu crossed the catastrophe and became a real dragon? Even if Yinglong was just born China. Little rabbit king makes a move. Now that Yinglong is so powerful, it's stupid to make a move instead. It's clearly a dead end, there is no choice. City God retorted. Wei Yan shook his head. If the 9-headed bird only wants to defeat Yinglong, it can join hands with the ghost fairy. Even if the ghost fairy is defeated and calls it for help, the other party doesn't show up until the ghost fairy is subdued by Yinglong. Why? City God was at a loss for words. On the contrary, Xiao Jingshou, the crown prince of the second seat, had a flash of wisdom in his eyes, and said, the best explanation should be that the 9-headed bird has been waiting for Tianzhu to grow, from a real dragon with 3 claws to a dragon with 5 claws. Now he also used ghosts and immortals to verify how capable Yinglong was, and whether it was enough for him to devour him, and then evolved into Zhufeng smoothly, so the little rabbit master didn't care whether the ghosts were alive or dead. His Royal Highness is smart and thoughtful, and the old minister admires him. Wei Yan once wondered why the little rabbit king didn't respond to the fact that a real dragon appeared in Tianxing Mountain, and the Chengqing king, the demon king of the deep mountain, wanted to get rid of it quickly. Perhaps the other party felt that a 3-clawed true dragon could not threaten its status. What about the 5-clawed dragon? I didn't see any move by the little rabbit king. To this day, the little rabbit king manifests the 9-headed bird itself. It dawned on him. Every head of the ancient Zhufeng evolved from the devouring dragon clan. But the 9 heads of the little rabbit king are obviously not. Therefore, if it wants to advance to Zhufeng, it needs to devour a dragon with a strong bloodline. Not at all. Until now it feels that Yinglong meets the requirements, and Tuan has appeared. Wait for Yinglong to grow up, devour it, and evolve into 9 phoenixes. This kind of explanation made Ming Xuanwang, the 9th 5-year lord, secretly speechless. His Ming dynasty actually hides such a terrifying and ambitious monster. What kind of strength does the 9-headed bird of the little rabbit king have, so that he can have the confidence and patience to wait for the overlord of a dragon to become stronger? It's horrifying to think about. All things are respected by the dragon, but those who are unruly want to eat the dragon. While showing your strength, you will get huge benefits. You must know that snakes are full of treasures, let alone dragons. Ordinary people get a drop of dragon's blood, they will be completely reborn, extraordinary and refined. If one obtains the dragon yuan, it is not impossible to be immortal for 1,000 years or 10,000 years. The city god then fell silent, and he couldn't help but think of the 6-eyed, 803, Jinyi who had escaped from the prison of Zan Yaosi and wreaked havoc in the suburbs. Both are on the same path. Both want to devour the powerful dragon clan, so as to be promoted and achieve their own goals. The former has failed, so will the little rabbit king, the 9-headed bird, succeed. In the conversation just now, the city god had already called Yinglong Tianju, which was considered to have fully recognized the status of the dragon's overlord. He didn't think there were any ghosts in the Ming dynasty that could threaten Yinglong. But then again, the little rabbit king hid in the dark and witnessed Yinglong's incomparable strength with his own eyes, and now he still dares to appear without fear. You can know how confident it is. It's almost a win. I believe that Yinglong is invincible. Ming Xuanwang recovered from his astonishment, and expressed his position firmly. Xiao Jingshou nodded heavily. The prince of the East Palace unknowingly became the most loyal supporter of the five-clawed dragon. And Wei Yan and Lord Chengwang met each other's eyes, and their expressions became more serious. All kinds of possibilities pop up in their minds. But most importantly, they can only bet that Yinglong will win. If Yinglong falls into the hands of the little rabbit king nine-headed bird, the other party will be promoted to the ancient beast Nine Phoenix. Then for the Ming dynasty, it was definitely a doomsday epic disaster. Even everyone here will become Feng's food. No one was spared. Who would have thought that the always low-key and mysterious little rabbit king would shake the fate of the Ming dynasty once he manifested himself? As long as it defeats Yinglong, it devours Yinglong. Then the Ming dynasty may be destroyed. The result is so obvious. But now no matter who it is, there is no way to stop it. I can only believe in Yinglong's strength. The heavenly sky mountains. The five-clawed Yinglong, who is like the sky and the earth, hides in the clouds. Even if only a little figure is revealed, it is so extraordinary and holy. The light shines, the island is extremely. The unrivaled majesty of the dragon overlord is vividly displayed. Let the world admire him very much. But even so, on the opposite side of Jackie Chan, there was a monstrous nine-headed bird confronting it. After the other party manifested, the color of the world changed, and the wind blew up. The sky exploded directly, and countless black clouds gathered, rumbled and spread in all directions. A total of 9 bird heads began to sway wildly. Each one is thousands of feet in size, with a pair of red pupils, full of bloodthirsty. With a huge and boundless body, the 9 bird heads all stared bloodthirstily at Yinglong in the row. That picture is simply terrifying. This 9-headed bird is too scary. He and Yinglong each occupy one side of the world and confront each other. The aura, the momentum, did not lose at all. Woo! The 9-headed bird let out a ferocious roar at the bright Yinglong. After manifesting the full body itself, it seems to be abnormally violent. The 9 bird heads made a sound at the same time, and the sound was like countless thunders exploding. Roaring in all directions, it even set off a violent storm, which made Tianxing Mountain tremble faintly. This is our boss, he's too strong. The 72-road cave master of the demon spirit realm is staring excitedly at the irritable 9-headed bird. I can't wait to kneel down and worship. The failure of ghost immortal Li Chong made these cave masters despair. Who in the entire Tianxing Mountain can stop Yinglong Wudi? But when their big and small rabbit kings manifested themselves, they did not lose to Yinglong at all. The sky is one side of the sky, the black clouds are boiling, and the 9 heads are swaying. Such a terrifying and hideous scene is even scarier than the appearance of the one-armed Hades. Ha ha. The boss is here, no surprises. Yinglong wants to turn from a shallow mountain to become the master of the day-traveling mountain and surpass the ghost of a mountain, but there is no way. The powerful evil spirit of the 9-headed bird is on par with Yinglong's heavenly dragon power. Just ask who else is in today's world. When the boss defeats Yinglong, maybe we can share a piece of dragon meat to taste. Some cave masters had wonderful fantasies. You must know that their little rabbit king boss, K. Kelai, is very generous. There are good things, never alone. But what they don't know is that the 9-headed bird that manifests itself is very fierce and brutal. Almost no relatives. It's not bad if you don't swallow them as food. Even wishful thinking. And in the sky, the battle between the 5-clawed dragon and the 9-headed bird is about to start. There are no multiple BBs at all. This is a duel between divine beasts and fierce beasts. Even a contest between good and evil. It is not a picture that ordinary people are qualified to observe. I only heard the dragon chant shaking the sky, and the fierceness was overwhelming. With the intent of destruction, 2 terrifying pressures violently spread in all directions. Boom, boom. The world began in chaos, and people in the world can't see anything, only feel that their minds are constantly roaring, and they are constantly being bombarded. The duel between the two behemoths did not have any bells and whistles. Once unfolded, it is a violent aesthetic. Even powerful spells have become superfluous. The sky is gradually in chaos, and all kinds of brutal forces are sweeping the world. To a certain extent, the result of who wins and who loses is difficult to judge until the end. The winding body and the swaying nine heads are fighting each other. Brilliant and violent, inseparable. Ying Long Tianju, I bet you to win, you have to win, you know. Ming Xuanwang stood up, voicing out the words of swallowing mountains and rivers. But both Wei Yan and Cheng Huang vaguely noticed that the emperor was actually sweating in his palms. Because unknowingly, the national destiny of the Ming dynasty was quietly controlled by this fierce duel between the mythical beast and the fierce beast. Who would have thought that the little rabbit king in the Tianxing mountain demon spirit realm would hide so deeply? The body is not only a nine-headed bird, but the ambition is to be promoted to the Jufeng, one of the beasts of the ancient Tiangong. The gold content of the Tiangong fierce beast is enough to make the emperor nervous. Even Wei Yan and City God had serious expressions on their faces. They were even secretly discussing what to do after Ru Yinglong was defeated by the Little Rabbit King. Little Rabbit King is really smart, using the image of a rabbit to cover up his vicious nature. As a result, in the demon spirit world, he kept a low profile and escaped the supervision of Zan Yaotong. If Wei Yan knew that the real body of Little Rabbit King was a nine-headed bird, he must use all the power of the Ming dynasty to arrest him. Because in today's world, there is no room for a fierce beast from the sky. That would be a disaster that even the six-eyed golden lion at the peak of 1,000 heads could not compare to. What is a fierce beast? That is, it only has endless killing in its eyes. Born to be evil, but in fact, the worries of the palace officials are superfluous after all. Still the same sentence, whether it is the world or ghosts. How to overestimate the five-clawed dragon is actually an underestimate. In the land of the sky, when it was booming, a miserable and fierce scream burst out. Start to give the world a shot in the arm. The terrifying nine-headed bird didn't seem to take advantage of Ying Long. Little Rabbit King, the nine-headed bird, does not have the most advantage of his beast blood. In terms of bloodlines, the Little Rabbit King wants to become the fierce beast of the Nine Phoenixes and Heavenly Gang. But everyone thought about it, even if it is Jufeng now, it is only at the same level as Wuclaw Yinglong. Not to mention that the other party is now just a nine-headed bird, not a nine-phoenix nine-headed bird. The real advantage of Little Rabbit King lies in his unfathomable Taoism. According to the estimate of Wei Yan, the demon slayer, this little king's Taoism is at least 30 million. And how long has Yinglong been born? A proper rookie. However, that's it, the rumbling sky against the sky. It seems that with the evolution of time, unconsciously, the Little Rabbit King, the nine-headed bird, gradually fell into a disadvantage. 9 terrifying bird heads attacked crazily, without even breaking the dragon scale. In the intensifying war, with a dragon's chant, the world was shaken. The sky unexpectedly manifested a sea of thunder in an unimaginable way. The five-claw Yinglong dominates the world and is bathed in a sea of thunder. The dragon scales open and close, and 18 wisps of electric chips flow between the teeth. Those candle-like dragon eyes stared indifferently at the ferocious nine-headed bird, and a burst of celestial dragon power crushed down like the blue sky collapsing. Even the practitioners far away in Kyoto feel sincere and fearful. The 3 souls are gone and the 7 souls are gone. Oh my God, control the thunder and kill, and the thought of 9 heavens and souls. The world was amazed. Lord Tianju used his strongest method. For real, the five-clawed Yinglong bathed in the sea of thunder was so majestic that even the world was humbled in front of it. He is like the master of heaven and earth, any attempt to provoke Longwei. Be suppressed by it. Little Rabbit King, my dragon has commanded all sentient beings, can you obey? From the sky, came a cold and majestic voice, as if he didn't pay attention to this fierce nine-headed bird at all. What, has the catastrophe ordered all sentient beings? As soon as these words came out, the world couldn't help being stunned, and even the few people in the palace stared wide-eyed. I don't know if I was frightened by Yinglong's arrogance, or because of Yinglong's tone. In the prehistoric era, the 4 great ancestors established the law of heaven and created the heaven and the 9 heavens. It is the orthodox supreme of the three realms. The magnificence and authority of the heavenly court envelop the entire prehistoric world. But the years go by, ups and downs. The four great ancestors disappeared on the stage of history. Heaven is not visible. Everything can change, only one thing remains the same forever. That's the sky above. It is the incarnation of the natural laws of heaven and earth, and it is the omnipotent master. Ordinary people like to call it God, heaven. As for the journey of cultivating immortals, it was called the rules of heaven and earth in the early days, collectively referred to as the way of heaven. The way of heaven is as empty as the wind, but it is everywhere. It controls the rules of the world and ignores everything. And with the power of thunder law, the catastrophe made all living beings become the supreme existence. Any living being in the world wants to be extraordinary and refined. We must first ask the Lord if he agrees. Once the catastrophe begins, life and death are unpredictable. And what Ying Long said just now, the tone is so crazy that he compares himself to heaven. The world looked at the sea of thunder that manifested in the sky, and it was terrifying. That is real, not a mirage. A vast and majestic chant resounded inexplicably between heaven and earth. In the dark, it seems that there is a thunder god hiding in the dark and singing. The oppressive feeling of Wang Wang Leiwei can make people suffocate instantly. Its scale even exceeds the catastrophe of any contemporary creature. Ying Long Tianju's Taoism, how much is it? Even if it controls thunder and punishment, it is absolutely impossible if it does not have the mana-like Wang Sihai in its body. A big question mark emerged in the minds of the world. In the sea of thunder in the sky, there are countless thunderbolts like waves hitting the table. Wave after wave, the rest of the electricity flashed wantonly, as if wanting to tear the sky in half. Che, the nine-headed bird roared fiercely, but it was more like emboldening himself. Facing a breathtaking sea of thunder lying in front of him, who cannot be afraid? Its 9 bird heads frantically swayed and screamed, and a pair of wings covering the sky and the sun spread out. Get ready to defend. Following Yinglong, he glanced at the 9-headed bird like a dead person. Boom! In the sea of thunder that lay across, a purple thunder rushed out like a dragon, roaring and devouring towards the 9-headed bird. But this is just the beginning. Following the first thunder cloud, Lei Hai rioted. In the next moment, an endless stream of purple electricity appeared one after another, frantically bombarding the 9-headed bird. Looking from the ground, it looks like giant dragons flying out of a sea of thunder. What the 9-headed bird is not facing is a sea of thunder, but the countless dragons. The spectacle was astounding. It's not that the catastrophe is better than the catastrophe. Wan Lei took the lead, never dying. These 8 characters are a good interpretation of the current situation. Amidst the rumbling thunder, the love of destroying the 9-headed bird began. Command all living beings with heavenly catastrophe. What Ying Long said was by no means arrogant, let alone empty words. He really did. At this moment, Ying Long is the Tao of heaven in the Ming dynasty. At this moment, he is the supreme existence. Who can compete with it? Little Rabbit King, a 9-headed bird, was bombarded wildly and could only defend passively. But in the face of Wan Lei, how do you defend yourself? The defeat is obvious. God. God. Ming Xuanwang in the palace kept murmuring these words. Because I really don't know how to describe what I saw. Too exaggerated, too incredible. It can actually summon a thunder sea to appear against the enemy. If that sea of thunder is located in the sky above Kyoto, once Wan Lei is in charge, the capital will be reduced to ruins in an instant, and the people will be reduced to ashes in an instant. Suddenly, Emperor Mingxuan rejoiced. Fortunately, the imperial court signed a non-aggression treaty with Ying Long. Otherwise, in the face of Yinglong's revenge, how can he bear it? The emperor looked at Wei Yan and had to admire Wei Shuzhen's foresight. At the beginning, he continued to target, once he saw the opponent Jinqian Wukla Yinglong. Immediately let go of all face to please. He may be too aware of what a 5-clawed dragon represents. The ancient Tiangong mythical beast, ranked 6th. But it also varies from dragon to dragon. Emperor Zan of the Ming dynasty was sure that the Yinglong born in the Ming dynasty was definitely not inferior to the Yinglong in ancient times. A sense of pride and honor can't help but arise. As long as the relationship between the Ming dynasty and Yinglong is good, his Ming dynasty's national fortune will last forever. It will last forever. Should I do something, express it. Emperor Zan of the Ming dynasty saw that the defeat of the nine-headed bird was a certainty, and he wanted to draw up a congratulations, or awards, or canonization. However, Ming Xuanwang is no longer worried that his imperial decree will be rejected by Yinglong. Instead, he felt that he didn't seem to be qualified to issue an edict to the five-clawed dragon. Even if you have the cheek to issue an imperial decree, it is still grandstanding. But he, the emperor, really couldn't do nothing. Because Yinglong's achievements are too great. In one fell swoop, millions of ghosts in the Ming dynasty were wiped out, and Li Chong, the ghost immortal, was taken in. Right now, the nine-headed bird of Little Rabbit King is about to be beheaded under the horse. From then on, the people in the Ming dynasty will no longer suffer from demons and ghosts. The problem that the founder of the country did not solve was solved by one dragon. For such a great contribution, what reward does the emperor get? Directly reward the other party with the great Ming dynasty? Or is the emperor himself abdicating the throne for the virtuous? What a happy misery. Maybe even Wei Yan didn't expect to send a dragon palace out by himself. Will evolve into what it is now. Far exceeded expectations. The land of the sky continued to thunder and thunder. A full half an hour passed, and I don't know how many thunderbolts fell on the body of the nine-headed bird. I can't even count them. For ordinary mortals, they can't see the scene of the sky at all. The glare can make you blind in an instant. Of the 9 swaying bird heads of the Little Rabbit King, 8 of them could not withstand the lightning strike and drooped down. Like a broken neck, no vital signs. Only the primitive head in the middle still shone with a fierce light. It seems to want to wait for the thunder and lightning to stop before counterattacking. It doesn't believe that a newly born Yinglong can have inexhaustible history. To control a thunder sea of such a scale, without massive mana, it is absolutely impossible to support it. It depends on who can resist to the end. A dragon that has emptied its mana is no different from a dragon on the ground. Boom! There was lightning and thunder, and another half an hour passed. The nine-headed bird was so terrified that it couldn't be more frightening. Its feathers fell like fallen leaves after autumn. The original head can no longer be lifted. Numb all over. He was deeply poisoned by mine. How is it possible? Never ending, never exhausted. Difficultly looking towards Lei Hai, a pair of candle-like dragon eyes swept over indifferently. Wang Wang's heavenly dragon power is still full of aggressive oppression, forcing you to lower your unruly head. You are forced to obey. If you lose, you can't fight. Little Rabbit King never thought that he would lose, but Wang Lei took the lead, and there was no end to it. Can't stop it. As soon as the energy was released, a thick and huge thunder struck, like Mount Tai pressing down on the top. There was a miserable cry. Like a meteorite, the nine-headed bird fell towards the top of Tianxing Mountain. Bang! Voice. The entire Tianxing Mountain shook. Exorcise the gods, surrender, recognize the master, the Little Rabbit King will wake up. The sea of thunder in the sky dissipated, and the huge dragon's body burst into light, covering the top of Tianxing Mountain. In an earth-shattering vision, the nine-headed bird no longer exists. After a stick of incense, Little Rabbit King slowly rises into the sky with the cute image of a rabbit. Finally, he knelt down respectfully. The picture freezes at this moment. The magnificent dragon palace that has been forgotten by the world continues to rise into the sky. Without any fetters bound. Originally, the monsters in the Tianxing Mountains thought that the dragon palace would be located on the top of Tianxing Mountain. But the magnificent dragon palace surpassed the top of Tianxing Mountain until it continued to ascend into the sky. Until it was suspended above the 9 heavens, surrounded by clouds, mountains and mists. There is only one dragon palace, standing like a sky. When the eyes of the people of Limin recovered, they raised their heads and looked up. An unforgettable picture for all living beings is engraved in the bones and branded in the depths of the soul. Roar! I only heard a dragon chant coming from the sky, and the huge head was winding and drooping, supporting the boundless body. Hanging above the dragon palace, Yinglong is gazing at his own dragon palace, and also looking down on everything in the world. 2 figures suddenly appeared in front of the dragon palace gate. Stand around. A man with a ghostly aura and a monstrous aura. It was actually Li Chong, the first-rank ghost fairy, and the boss of the demon spirit world, the Big and Little Rabbit King. One left and one right, they suddenly became the first door gods of the dragon palace. The demons and ghosts of the Ming dynasty have respected them, and they have been dominated by dragons. From then on, Yinglong is truly above all things, above the Ming dynasty. His dragon palace stands on top of the imperial palace. The people all over the world looked at the dragon palace suspended above the sea of clouds with incomparably admiring eyes. Looking at the winding dragon body hanging down with an expression of incomparable admiration. Unparalleled majesty, vividly overlooking the vastness. The dragon scales that shine like the sun and the moon are shining brightly. The glorious might of the heavenly dragon subdued unknowingly. There is no longer a horrible sense of oppression and suffocation. More like spring breeze. Click. One sound. The gate of the dragon palace opened slowly. Yinglong's huge and boundless body gradually became smaller under the eyes of everyone. Slowly hidden into the dragon palace. When it disappears completely, the door closes. At this moment, the people all over the world knelt down and yelled in unison, "I wish Lord Tianju to live in the dragon palace, to be powerful and powerful, to be ordered by the sky, and to have a long life." At this moment, the ghosts of the Tianxing Mountains also prostrated themselves on the ground, and shouted respectfully, "Congratulations to Mr. Yinglong for entering the Dragon Palace. He will travel across the world and look down on the world. From now on, only Mr. Yinglong will take the lead." Is Zan. At this moment, inside the Imperial Palace in Kyoto, a cloud of 9-colored auspicious clouds rose, on which stood a calm and majestic figure. He was wearing a royal robe, and he looked like a 95-year-old emperor, round and flawless. And below the 9-colored auspicious cloud, another 5-colored auspicious cloud lifted into the sky. He also wears a yellow robe, but neither true nor blue. Ming Xuanwang took the East Palace crown Prince Xiao Jingshou and flew towards the standing dragon palace. Finally, in front of the people all over the world, this wise and mighty emperor bowed down to the dragon palace and bowed deeply. This obeisance was not for congratulations. Emperor Ming Zan thanked Yinglong from the bottom of his heart for clearing away the demons and ghosts for the Ming dynasty. Shocking feats, the emperor was very grateful. He worshipped for himself, and also for the people of the world. The prince on the colorful auspicious cloud directly knelt down and bowed respectfully. Seeing this scene, the people all over the world were all moved. People feel wrong. The 5-claw Yinglong deserves it. It's worth worshipping today. The prince of the Eastern Palace knelt down. From then on, the Ming dynasty brought peace to the world through singing and dancing. A wise emperor ruled. It is guarded by a majestic dragon. The blessings of the people of Limit. A month passed in the blink of an eye from the vigorous Dragon Palace incident. After Lin Mu settled in the Dragon Palace, the first thing he did was to get a clear idea of the structure of the entire Dragon Palace. After all, this Dragon Palace was given by Wei Yan, the son of the demon-slaying Si Firen. This old guy is very scheming, so it's hard to guarantee that he won't do something to Long Ji. Lin Mu doesn't want her every move to be under the control of others. But after a careful inspection, there was nothing wrong with Dragon Palace. Perhaps Wei Yan knew in his heart that it would be difficult for Yinglong to use any means. Cross the sea. Count him smart. Lin Mu is very satisfied with the structure of Dragon Palace. It can be seen that Wei Yan absolutely spent his time sending the Dragon Palace to the Dragon Palace. The Dragon Palace has a total of 9 floors. Each floor has an independent palace, magnificent and unique. All over the body, every mechanism is the crystallization of force. Indestructible. The most worth mentioning is that this Dragon Palace has been forged into a magic weapon, which contains the power of restraint. There are 7749 ways. The so-called Tao is 50, and Tianyin is 49. These 49 restraining powers not only allow this Dragon Palace to have the function of changing size at will, also has super defense. This is also the reason why Dragon Palace was still as solid as gold when it forcibly took a punch from the 200,000 Taoist King Ape Stone. Relatively speaking, Lin Mu's Dragon Palace is like the underwater palace in Beishan Yunhu. It was just an ordinary building. Apart from being beautiful, it has no features. Fortunately, Lin Mu returned it back then. How can a mere underwater palace be worthy of the noble and infinite master Yinglong? Now, with this Dragon Palace, Lin Mu can concentrate on speeding up his practice. Feathered towards the Golden Dragon. In the territory of the Ming dynasty, he is now the sky, and the ghost boss has become his gatekeeper. No one will disturb Lin Mu's practice anymore. It can be said that Lin Mu has completely eliminated any resistance that could cause trouble for him. Next, it's all happy and happy days. Practice if you want to practice. If he doesn't want to practice, the world is free for him to roam. No fuss, no worries. He is already invincible. After checking the Dragon Palace, Lin Mu took a good look at his latest data. His Taoism skyrocketed for 100,000 years because he devoured Yuanshan of King Yuanshi. Now it has leapt 260,000 years of Taoism. In the middle of this, he has mastered several great supernatural powers of Tiangong, such as spreading beans into soldiers. When this spell is cast, any stone you pick up can be turned into a base. And it's not ordinary soldiers, or heavenly soldiers, or invulnerable yellow scarf warriors. This is determined according to one's own cultivation base and deeds. According to Lin Mu's current way of doing, Raiden casts bean sprinkle into soldiers. It is not a problem to conjure tens of thousands of heavenly soldiers out of thin air. Even as long as he tries his best to use up his mana to change, it is not impossible for 100,000 heavenly soldiers to do it. But soldiers are not many, but fine. Quantification is not as good as qualitative. The second kind of supernatural power of Tiangong is called return to wind and return to fire. Let the blowing wind blow back and let the burning flame shrink back. But that's just an adjective. In layman's terms, it means that it can reverse the enemy's spells and return them back. It's a bit like repaying the other's way with the other's way. This supernatural power seems ordinary, but it is very powerful. It can turn the enemy's attack into its own attack and return it back. It's fun to think about it. The third kind of supernatural powers of comprehension is insight from the wall. Can see through the hole, sit and see the 10 directions, the sky and the earth. There is no obstacle, inside and outside the world, ghosts, gods and figures, the size of the ghosts, gods, and figures are faintly displayed, and they are all clearly distinct. Remarks. Tianyantong. After comprehending this supernatural power, even if Lin Mu lives in the Dragon Palace and under the whole world, it is within his grasp. As long as he wants to see it, he can see everything clearly. These three supernatural powers each have their own uses, I am relieved. In fact, what he wants to comprehend most is Tiangong's top 4 invincible supernatural powers, such as mediating good fortune, reversing yin and yang, changing stars and changing battles, and even returning to light. These 4 supernatural powers, if you master any one of them, you will have supreme power. Lin Mu reckons that his Taoism has not exceeded 500,000, and it will be difficult to achieve it before he becomes a golden dragon. Next, let's talk about Lin Mu's new servants. Li Chong, a first-rank ghost immortal, can transform his ghost into immortal energy, and can summon the one-armed Hades. Daoxing. 300,000. Lin Mu bowed down to Pluto 3 times at the beginning, and it seemed easy. Actually feel the pressure. To be precise, the third prostration of the one-armed Pluto did not really unfold. It was Li Chong's own Tao heart that was disturbed first. Otherwise, Lin Mu would be injured to some extent, and if there was a fourth kneeling, he might be kneeling to death. But after all, he is the one-armed Pluto of Juyu. Li Chong seems to have 300,000 Taoism, which is terrifying. In fact, the third kneeling is already barely used. Lin Mu did not kill Li Chong, but took him as a servant. There were several considerations. The first is that it is rare to find powerful servants, and it is not bad to send them as generals. The second is to value the opponent's magical power of summoning the one-armed Pluto. Has very strong power. The third is that ghosts and immortals are better dead than alive. Living can help Lin Mu rule the ghost clan. If it dies, a new king will appear in the ghost clan in the future. People will also suffer from ghosts. This has the same meaning as the little rabbit king who subdued the demon spirit world. Lin Mu doesn't want to waste his time on mundane matters. To accept all the bosses of the ghosts, not only will the world be peaceful, but also peace of mind. Little Rabbit King's 9-headed bird has reached an astonishing 350,000. I have been keeping a low profile, just waiting for a powerful dragon to appear in the territory of the Ming dynasty, thereby devouring and promoting Jufeng. It's a pity that the opponent has exhausted all their organs, but they can't calculate Lin Mu's real combat power. The strength of his Yinglong is not only strong in physical strength, but also possesses the blessings of Longwei and Tianwei. There are so many supernatural powers mastered by celestial beings. The manifestation of a sea of thunder in one hand is enough to destroy the dead. In fact, a ferocious beast with a strong enough physical body is not afraid of thunder and lightning. But Lin Mu's thunderbolt is not fanlei. The ingredients contain Wang Tianwei. Therefore, it became a sky thunder. Who can withstand such a thunderstorm? With the two gates looking to the Dragon Palace, Lin Mu can basically enjoy the happiness. Because he is already the only true god in the Ming dynasty. At that time, the emperor brought the prince to visit, instead of issuing an imperial decree from above. Am I invincible too fast? Alas, the heights are too cold. Ah! Lin Mu let out a smirk, and felt at ease in the splendid Dragon Palace. As the Dragon Palace floats above the white clouds in the 9 heavens, the snake tribe who travels the mountain follows the chickens and dogs to ascend to heaven. The snake clan, who were originally only fit to live in shallow mountains, migrated to the top of Tianxing Mountain. It has become the largest monster clan force in Tianxing Mountain. But there are still some snake clans stationed in Wolongtan. The 5-claw Yinglong came out of Wolongtan, which has become the legendary blessed place. Don't allow other people to circle their fingers. During this period, he even sent a message to the snake clan, that anyone in the clan who survives the catastrophe and turns into a 3-clawed true dragon can enter the Dragon Palace. This is a great honor. Greatly stimulated those dragon masters. Practice hard one by one. They have already eaten the bonus of time acceleration, and then they have to work hard on their own. Lin Mu was originally a snake. Although he took the route of transforming into a dragon, he was not partial. Some snake masters who practice pure snake cultivation are called to enjoy the bonus of time acceleration. When these snake masters finish eating their bonuses, they all become huge 6-headed snakes with 6 heads swaying. Fierce and terrifying. It's not like they don't have a chance if they want to live in Dragon Palace. As long as you evolve into the legendary Hydra, you have this qualification. Hydra's combat power is not inferior to that of the 3-clawed real dragon. Even if there is enough opportunity in the future, there will be a chance to promote the 9 snake heads to several dragon heads. At that time, it can be compared to Yinglong with 5 claws. A creature like a snake is born with spiritual awareness, and the 2 kinds of cultivation routes have infinite possibilities. Gradually, with the Dragon Palace suspended in the sky, Yinxing entered the most peaceful stage in history. Demons and ghosts all began to take the route of doing good and accumulating virtue. And the people at the foot of the mountain live and work in peace and contentment without the troubles of ghosts and ghosts. In the Ming dynasty, the universe was bright and clear, and even natural disasters and man-made disasters rarely occurred. A few months later, Gongshanxi city god ordered people to send greeting cards to the Dragon Palace. Then he personally boarded the Dragon Palace with a heavy gift. A day later, a magic weapon was hung on the top of Yinshou. Like a lighthouse in the dark. From then on, whenever the people of the world go up to offer the dragon, the incense will flow towards the top of the Dragon Palace like a river. It's not beautiful. This will even become a unique landscape in the territory of the Ming dynasty in the future Dimahao. One day late at night, the night sky was cloudless and starry like a river. There is an independent peak in Tianxing Mountain, which is like a long sword inserted straight into the earth. The strong wind howled, and the ancient trees were green. There was a gloomy air. Many people don't know about this mountain peak. It used to be the site of Yingxian Valley. But as the ghost fairy Li Chong became Yinglong's goalkeeper, the Yingxian Valley seemed to have ceased to exist. In the middle of the night, on the mountain peak, a tall woman in red was standing tall. The woman's skin was crystal clear, as if it would glow. Her lips are like a burning flame, full of flaws and temptations. Wearing a fiery red silk dress. Coquettish like fire, so beautiful. But her eyes are extremely sad, and mesmerizing, with a thrilling and alluring feeling. If you look closely, you will find that this woman has no shadow under the moonlight. The slender hands, with exposed nails, were as long as blades, like the sharpest daggers, sealing their throats with blood. This is a ghost repairer. And the way is profound. The most important thing is that the ghost aura on her body is incompatible with the ghosts in the Ming dynasty. Anyone with a discerning eye will find that this female ghost is not a ghost belonging to the Ming dynasty. Its spies sneaked in from other countries. The mountain roared, blowing up the female ghost's dress, swaying like a burning flame. Whizzing. At the foot of the mountain, there were two extremely fast figures rushing towards the mountain peak. Afterwards, I saw two indifferent-looking men in night clothes holding long swords with a sense of indifference, staring at the red-clothed ghost cultivator. A look of vigilance. The two men in night clothes saw nothing unusual, and a slender, handsome young man dressed in golden robes and dressed like a prince walked out from behind. His golden hair is like the most beautiful sunshine in the world. There is an extremely noble atmosphere exuding from his body. Who is he? It's Xiao Qish, the prince of the 5 jewels who bears the fate of Qianlong. Xiao Qish was originally the prince of 7 pearls, and his status was comparable to that of a prince. But the sentence of crusade against Yinglong made him lose his sacred heart, and even lost the control of the Spirit Guard organization. Afterwards, Emperor Zan of the Ming dynasty decreed that 2 beads were cut off. Became the prince of 5 beads, and now he can't stand side by side with the prince. Lost the qualification to seize the air. Now the Ming dynasty is peaceful with the dragon palace hanging in the sky. But Xiao Qish was not reconciled. In the dynasties since ancient times, the people who bear the fate of Qianlong are all the princes of the East Palace. Future son of heaven, how did he get here, and he was only fixed in the position of the prince. Therefore, Xiao Che decided to throw everything at the back of the boat. No one in the Ming dynasty supported him to ascend to heaven, so don't blame him for borrowing the power of foreign countries. Xiao Qish, who appeared, stared at the red-clothed ghost cultivator, took a few glances, and said, I didn't expect that the one who connected with this king would be the famous ghost princess of the Qian kingdom. This really surprised me. Qian kingdom, a neighboring country of the Ming dynasty, has a strong national power and prosperous martial arts. The land area is 1/4 larger than that of Ming dynasty. He has been fighting hard all the time, dreaming of annexing the territory of Ming dynasty becomes a superpower. If it weren't for the wise emperors of the Ming dynasty, they would have been swallowed up by Qiongguo long ago. The female ghost in front of her was the princess of Qian kingdom before she was alive, and she was notoriously beautiful. Due to the prosperity of martial arts in Qiongguo, there are many sects. In order to win over those powerful local sects, the royal family will marry the princess. The princess had her own interests, and she didn't want to be a bargaining chip for the royal family, so she committed suicide and finally became a ghost cultivator. But even if he becomes a ghost, he is still a ghost of the royal family. He will work for the country even if he lives or dies. She became the unique ghost princess in Qian country and became famous overseas. Your Highness has good eyesight. I hope His Highness will not dislike the ghost of Qiongguo's slave family who came to join His Highness. It is really difficult for a living person to sneak into your daming territory. The ghost princess covered her mouth and smiled softly, her posture was indescribably alluring. Xiao Qish went straight to the point, unwilling to waste time. I don't know if my king's request can be agreed to by you. Hehe, it's not difficult to help His Highness activate Qianlong's fate, put pressure on Daming, and help His Highness become the Prince of the East Palace. These 2 things are not difficult, so what benefits can I get from serving the country? Ghost Princess said with a smile. Xiao Qish said with sharp eyes, if this king ascends the throne in the future, I can give you the 5 cities of the Ming dynasty as a reward. Qianlong's fate is not just a saying. It has amazing potential, once it is activated and turned on. Will be reborn and talented. Not an emperor, equal to an emperor. But if you want to activate Qianlong's fate, you generally need the blessing of the country's luck. This matter is also simple to say. Once you become the Prince of the East Palace, you will be enveloped by your own luck. It's a pity that Xiao Qish is only a prince and cannot be a prince. Qianlong's fate has become tasteless. Therefore, Xiao Qish hopes to get the luck blessing of the Qian kingdom, as long as he activates his Qianlong and passes. Reborn, a significant boost to his prestige. At that time, a large number of courtiers will support him as the Prince of the East Palace. With the support of the neighboring countries, everything will fall into place. 5 cities. Princess Ghost shook her head coquettishly. Your Highness just need to hand over the border defense map of Daming to the slave family, and that will be fine. What? Xiao Qish turned pale with shock. You want Daming's frontier defense map because you want to invade my Daming, right? Do you think I'm an idiot? What a wolf's ambition. the appetite is so big, the 5 cities can't be fed enough. Your Highness's words are wrong. Our country supports His Highness as the Crown Prince of the East Palace. Could it be possible that he can make you the Crown Prince by intimidating your Emperor Ming with words? Xiao Qish frowned. Naturally, we need to use some force. After obtaining the frontier defense map, our country will invade Daming with a large army. At that time, I will say that only when you become the prince, our country will be willing to retreat. Your Highness thinks that your Emperor will to agree or not to agree. This, Xiao Qish became entangled in his heart, and if he wanted to hand over the frontier defense map, wouldn't he become a traitor to Daming? Everyone gets it and kills it. They cannot enter the imperial tomb after death. Alas, seeking skin from a tiger. Your Highness, those who do great things don't care about small things, but we are sincerely helping you to rise to the top. Whether it is sincerity or ambition, that is unknown. Xiao Qish said coldly. He is not a 3-year-old child, so he cannot be easily coaxed. The ghost princess stretched out her slender hand, and a vase appeared in her hand, shining brightly. Your Highness, guess what's inside? Xiao Qish frowned and shook his head. It's my country's destiny, isn't that sincere? Speaking of which, Princess Ghost actually threw it to Xiao Qish directly. After Xiao Qish caught it, his expression became uncontrollably excited. Unlock the fate of Qianlong, reborn, not an emperor, but equal to an emperor. It can be described as destiny. Xiao Jingshou, that bookworm, what will he use to compete with himself? I am more respectable than his Eastern Palace prince, more than twice as noble. Thinking of this, he wanted to laugh out loud. Your Highness, when can I hand over the frontier defense map to the slave family? Princess Ghost asked with a smile. Xiao Qish came back to his senses and stared at the ghost princess. 1 month at most, but you have to promise this king that as long as this king becomes the prince, you will immediately withdraw your troops, and when the king of different Japan ascends the throne and proclaims himself emperor, you are willing to form an alliance with Qianguo. Compete with other countries. Your Majesty is wise, then it will be settled. As she said that, Princess Ghost suddenly glanced at the sky. Under the stars, a magnificent dragon palace was suspended, and she asked with a strange light in her eyes. There is really a 5-clawed Yinglong living in it, will he intervene in the national war? Xiao Qish raised his head, and took a look with resentment. It's just a Yinglong, if it meddles in its own business, you can kill it. When the ghost princess heard the words, 4 words immediately appeared in her mind, to kill the dragon with a knife. I despise in my heart that a country can have a noble and infinite Yinglong, and I can wake up with a smile in my dreams. Did he say kill? No wonder even someone with the fate of Qianlong can't be crowned prince. Madness. But on the bright side, the ghost princess brightly said, what your highness said is that if this dragon meddles in other people's business, I don't mind helping his highness slay the dragon. Time turned and it was almost 2 years later. The Ming dynasty has been in power for more than 2,600 years, and Ming Xuanwang has been on the throne for 27 years. The frontiers were in turmoil, and Qianguo raised 300,000 troops and invaded Ming dynasty. The life of the common people to live and work in peace and contentment is fleeting. Strange to say, Qianguo seems to be well aware of Daming's military deployment, which is like a broken bamboo. The Ming army was defeated and retreated steadily, breaking through the frontier in one fell swoop, occupying the 6 cities of Daming, and still singing along the way, directly pointing to the location of Daming Kyoto. In an instant, people were panicked and turbulent. In the hall of the Ming dynasty, Emperor Zan of the Ming dynasty was actually wearing a war robe and sitting on the dragon chair, looking at the civil and military forces of the Manchu dynasty with burning eyes. His face was full of fighting intent. Qianguo deceived people too much, sent 300,000 soldiers to invade our Ming dynasty, and I decided to conquer by myself. As soon as these words came out, the whole court was shocked, and Wei Yan, the demon slayer, was the first to stand up and object. Your Majesty can't, you are a true Long Tianzi, the 9th 5-year honor, how can you move lightly? According to the news from the spies of the demon-slaying division, the Qian kingdom has moved the real thing this time. There are 300,000 troops, 100,000 of which are martial arts masters from sects, 100,000 are from the demon clan, and the last 100,000 are ghosts. Clan, human demons, ghosts, 3 ways to go together, menacing, hard to resist, in addition. In addition, the guardian beast of the Qian kingdom is the beast vermilion bird, one of the 4 gods, and I am afraid it is also among them. Wei Yan's words were like a heavy bomb, and the courtiers who were bombed were all panicked. You must know that the national strength of Qiongguo was originally higher than that of Ming dynasty. If it weren't for the impregnable defenses on the border of the Ming dynasty, it would have been violated long ago. However, no matter how good the defense was, it was still captured after all. The Ming dynasty is in jeopardy. According to the current momentum of the enemy army, there is an army of 300,000, and Vermilion Bird, one of the 4 gods, is in charge. I'm afraid it won't take a few months before the soldiers can come to the city. What Wei Shuzun said is reasonable. Your Majesty can't move lightly. Why don't we send someone to negotiate a peace, and have a good talk with Qian? Maybe the other party will be willing to retreat. The person who said this was the Minister of Rights of the 2nd rank. I object. My Ming dynasty founded the country with martial arts. The founder Tezu ordered the emperor to guard the gate of the country. The national policy of the king's death for the country. Negotiating a peace is to cede the land and pay compensation. What is the face of my Ming dynasty? Minister of the Ministry of War stood up. The minister agrees to negotiate a peace. The minister objected. Daming is not a soft persimmon, he can be squeezed by others. Agree. Be opposed to. Qiaotang suddenly became confused, forming 2 different voices. Each has its own reasons. Ming Xuanwang listened coldly, secretly remembering those ministers who said they were in favor of peace talks. He Ming doesn't need spineless courtiers. It is even more impossible for him to cede land and pay compensation in exchange for peace in the Ming dynasty. In the noisy court, it was not until Xiao Jingshou, the crown prince of the East Palace, stepped forward that the scene quieted down. Everyone also wants to hear what His Highness the Crown Prince has to say. Father, even if it's a royal conquest, it's still a son-in-law. As the Prince of the East Palace, even though he is not talented, he is willing to throw his head in blood for my Ming dynasty and pray for the father's success. As soon as these words came out, many generals admired the prince. Don't look at the prince as a frail scholar, but he has backbone, very. This can be regarded as inheriting the courage and fortitude of Ming Xuanwang. In addition, the prince's martial arts cultivation base is also good, already in the 3rd district. It is a first-class expert. Have this qualification to lead the army. Ming Xuanwang cast his eyes on the prince, and just about to speak, another figure stood up. Father, my son has something to say. As soon as the sound came out, there was a domineering dragon chant in the hall. Like it comes with BGM. Wen Wu of Manchao was shocked immediately. Looking in the direction, it turned out to be Xiao Qish, Prince of the 5 Jewels. At this time, Xiao Qish was dressed in prince's clothes, but he looked even more noble than the prince. It seems that he is Daming's only proud son of heaven. His face even showed the appearance of a 95-year-old emperor, and the scene of the country and the years flashed in his eyes. The dignified temperament really makes people confused who is the real prince of the Ming dynasty. This change was seen by the courtiers, and they turned pale with fright, as if they were caught by a thunderbolt from the blue sky. King Qi activated Qianlong fate. Countless whispering voices emerged in my heart. Even Wei Yan and Lord Chengwang, who were seated first, stared at the past with frowns. The expression was lost in thought. Xiao Qish was secretly delighted by Manchao's sluggish expression. He has been dormant for 2 years, and has been keeping a low profile, just waiting for today's blockbuster. Now, the Qian kingdom is aggressively invading, and it has invaded Daming forcefully. It's time for his best rise. Ming Xuanwang stared deeply at Xiao Qish, as if he didn't know this son whom he had doted on and placed high hopes on since he was a child. But after only a while, the emperor asked with a normal face, "What do you want to say, King Qi?" Why does the royal father have such an expression? It shouldn't be. Can't he see that he has activated Qianlong's fate? I am the most outstanding prince among the 6 institutes of Sangong. Xiao Qish couldn't tell what his father was thinking for a while, so he could only reply respectfully, "Royal father, Qiongguo brought an army of 300,000 demons and ghosts to invade our Daming, obviously well prepared, we can't go head to head." Quote, "Your minister proposes a peace negotiation. My son is willing to be the envoy of Ming dynasty, and go to lobby to let Qiongguo withdraw its troops. His fate of Qianlong has been opened, and the civil and military affairs of the dynasty are in his eyes. As long as you act as an envoy, let Qiongguo retreat. Then he is Daming's hero. The reputation will be unparalleled for a while, completely surpassing the prince. Originally, his secret deal with Qianguo was that Qianguo openly supported him as the prince. But Xiaoqish still has some brains. I thought that was too deliberate. It is easy to be suspicious. Ming Xuanwang's face at this time was very cold, even gloomy, and he asked lightly, King Qi, don't you know that my Ming dynasty's national policy is that the emperor guards the country, the king dies, and he does not cede land or pay compensation? Father, the sons and ministers are sure that without spending a single soldier, without spending a single gold and silver, let the Qian kingdom unconditionally withdraw its troops. Xiaoqish said confidently. What? Let Qiongguo unconditionally withdraw its troops? Manchao Wenwu looked at Xiaoqish in astonishment. If it weren't for Xiaoqish's noble status, he would now have opened up Qianlong's fate and temperament. I'm afraid that at this time, there are already more than a dozen speech officials standing up to eat and drink. Young children can speak wild words. The 300,000 troops of Qiongguo invaded vigorously, and the military expenditure and rations did not know how much it would cost. If you said a few words in the past, others would retreat unconditionally. I want to fart. In the war between the two countries, you are a housekeeper. However, the servant of the Ministry of Rights of the second rank asked cautiously, how does your highness know? However, Xiaoqish stood up and raised his head. His voice was sonorous and forceful. This king can issue a military order. If the peace negotiation fails, I would like to follow the military law, and death is not a pity. King Qi, above the court, don't talk nonsense, step down. Ming Xuanwang frowned, and immediately shouted. Father, please let this minister try it. If this minister is really sure of persuading Qiongguo to retreat, you can trust me. Back off. Father, if you don't agree, my son will kneel and die in the hall today. The civil and military officials of the Manchu dynasty were moved, but they did not expect His Royal Highness King Qi to be so loyal and patriotic. This heart can shine on the sun and the moon. Everyone looked at Xiaoqish again. He was clearly kneeling, but he still felt dignified. The whole person is round and flawless, very much like Ming Xuantum when he was young. Unknowingly, some people began to think, how wonderful it would be if he were the prince, how great it would be if he were the future emperor. This kind of subconscious thought is even subtly influenced uncontrollably. Xiaoqish's activated Qianlong fate influences others all the time. Almost half of the ministers have been affected. On the contrary, Wei Yan and City God watched Xiaoqish's performance coldly, shaking their heads secretly. The facial expression said, why do you have to die? How was King Qi's Qianlong fate activated? To know this kind of fate, it is only possible with the blessing of the country's luck. But he is not the prince, because of Ming's luck, he can't get it. Unless it is assisted by air transport from other countries. Qiongguo has always been eyeing Daming, but Daming's frontier defenses are impenetrable. Haven't had a problem for 100 years. Why did Qiongguo fall easily this time? Obviously, the frontier defense has been mastered by the enemy country. So who would the traitor be? Now, Xiaoqish stood up again to negotiate a peace, with the look of success or benevolence. A thoughtful person can get a promise invisibly after a little thought. Ming Xuanwang's eyes were full of deep disappointment, and there was strong reluctance in his doctor's hope. He wanted to pull his son back to the right place. But obviously, the other party has already lost his footing. Che, I want to ask you one last question for my father, are you really going to negotiate a peace? Think it over carefully. Xiaoqish only had the blueprint drawn by himself in his mind, and he didn't notice Emperor Mingzan's tone at all. He did not ask in the tone of an emperor, but in the tone of a loving father. Pray for the father to be perfect. Xiaoqish knelt on the ground and kowtowed heavily. Okay, I agree to King Qi's request to retire from the court. Ming Xuanwang stood up a little tired, and when he was about to leave, he took another deep look at Xiaoqish. But Xiaoqish was so excited that he didn't notice it at all. When the emperor left completely, all court civil and military personnel surrounded Xiaoqish to congratulate him. Most of the words are meant to please and flatter. If Xiaoqish, who has activated Qianlong's destiny, really persuades Qiongguo to quit, Then the position of Daming's prince of the Eastern Palace may have to be changed. Your Majesty Xuanwei and Lord Chengwang have an audience in the imperial study. A sharp voice sounded. In the second month after the Qian kingdom's army entered Daming, Shao Qish, Prince of the Five Jewels, who was entrusted with the emperor's favor, went to negotiate peace with 500 soldiers. Majestic, the Manchu dynasty was sent off by civil and military officials. The common people lined the road to greet him, waiting for the triumphant return of His Royal Highness King Qi. However, this peace negotiation, as Shao Qish stepped into the enemy camp, completely ran counter to his blueprint. He never dreamed that Qian Guo was just using him as a pawn. Anything to support him in his position is to draw big cakes. When Shao Qish completely stepped into the enemy camp, his 500 soldiers were directly brutally killed by Shiguo. And he himself became a prisoner and was beaten every day. Until Shao Qish agreed to be the puppet of Qianguo in order to survive. Obedience. Qianguo, who had achieved his goal, came to hold the prince with one hand to order the princes. When the 300,000 troops encountered a difficult city, they directly pushed Shao Guan out. Let Shao Qish, as a prince and prince, persuade him to surrender. Normally speaking, a mere prince who betrays his country to survive is so spineless. The general guarding the city wouldn't be so confused to listen. But Shao Qish was no ordinary prince, he was Ming Xuanwang's favorite prince since he was a child. It opened Qianlong's fate again, with the appearance of an emperor all over his face. There have always been rumors in the capital that Shao Qish will move into the East Palace sooner or later and become the son of the future. The generals defending the city had to be cautious. However, facing Shao Qish's constant persuasion to surrender, and under the influence of his Qianlong fate, the general who defended the city finally opened the city gate and surrendered in a daze. With this surrender, the people in the city instantly fell into hell. The 200,000 demons and ghosts of the Qian kingdom rushed in and started a feast of flesh and blood. It is even more cruel than massacring a city. For a moment, the mournful wailing was endless. Next, under the influence of Prince Shao Qish's Qianlong Mingge, the army of the Qian kingdom was like a broken bamboo, and they rushed towards the capital without any effort. Along the way, lives were lost. Dogs and chickens are left alone. A ruin. During this period, whenever the Qian kingdom occupied a city, it would let its army of demons and ghosts offer a meal. 0. The first is to deter, the second is to establish prestige, and the third is to satisfy one's own bestiality. Who cares if they are not the people of their own country? It's all just food. Every day in the capital, the Kuei-Ma army is in emergency because of Shao Qish's rebellion. Put Daming in danger of subjugation. People in Kyoto are in panic, and bad news comes every day. The imperial court began to recruit troops in full swing. No matter sectarian forces or ghosts, they are always recruiting troops. The spirit guards controlled by the prince began to play a role. But the effect is not very significant. You must know that the demons and ghosts of Daming are all concentrated in the extrajudicial place of Tianxing Mountain. The sects and ghost forces have long been unified in different countries. The relationship between Daming and ghosts has always been incompatible. Before the spirit guards were born, their attitude towards demons and ghosts was encirclement. Slaying demons and eliminating demons has continued since the founding of the Ming dynasty to the present. It is very difficult for the imperial court to summon ghosts as the main force to defend against the enemy. Demon Slayer Headquarters. Standing in the office building, Wei Yan issued orders with a blank face. Let those sectarian forces send experts to join the army, and no one can stay out of it. They must gather within 10 days and tell them that this is the imperial court's death order. Those who refuse, the deity will personally suppress and exterminate the genocide. His words were full of chilling meaning. There is some reason for ghosts not to join the army. But since the imperial court began to recruit soldiers, those sectarian forces of the human race were all passive and perfunctory. Everyone was scared out of their wits by the army of Qianguo. He even sent some soldiers to deal with the court in the future. Absolutely, Wei Yan never tolerated sand in his eyes. Qian state has an army composed of 100,000 sect masters, and it must be at least 150,000. Because Qianguo martial arts is more prosperous than Ming dynasty, and the strength of masters is stronger. According to Wei Yan's plan, all sect masters in the Ming dynasty must come out in full force. It is not enough to have one school or one school less. If you refuse, you will be suppressed. You can also kill chickens and monkeys, and your subordinates will take orders. A mirror envoy led a large number of guards to deliver the order. Wei Shuzun said again in a cold tone, "Send someone to set up a recruiting office at the foot of Tianxing Mountain. After all, the establishment of the Guardian Spirit Guard is too short and the prestige is not enough. Tell the demon clan in Tianxing Mountain that if Daming is captured, they will not be able to do anything good. Life has passed, and now we all have to fight against foreign enemies together." On the other side, Gong Shanxi also set up a recruiting office in Tianxing Mountain. One summons demons, the other summons ghosts. The army of demons and ghosts in Qian State is fierce and cruel, and wherever they go, there are no eyes. If Daming did not have the ghost army, this battle would certainly not have been won. Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe.